Conversations.
John Commerford, National Rifle Association Institute Legislative Action, Executive Director, my friend, my brother. Congratulations. Can we do a lap around the gloat pool, John?
Well, hey, thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, it's been a unique week for the Second Amendment, and it's been a unique few weeks for the Second Amendment at the Supreme Court.
You want to start with Hamani? You want to start with Wolford? You want to start with what's going on in Virginia? Let's talk about Virginia real quick before we go into the rest.
Okay.
Right when I got off air yesterday, and I got to send Phil Van Cleve a text message and tell him, couldn't you have done that 5 minutes earlier when I could have broke that story? Because we got news that a judge in Virginia has secured an injunction against Spanberger's gun control gun ban bill through December 31st. Obviously, there we go with the applause. Obviously, the state's going to appeal, but now we're going to have the Virginia State Court. What's going on here? Has there been any change there?
Well, look, their judge took a really unique step by issuing a judgment right from the bench. He issued that injunction. But keep in mind, and those guys did a good job. However, they only sued the Virginia State Police. And that's exactly where the injunction lies. The judge didn't go further than that. He only applied this to the Virginia State Police. So that does not open up gun sales into Virginia after July 1. It's certainly a step in the right direction and sends a shot across the bow of two bullets, Jay Jones. But there's more work that needs to be done there. Obviously, local law enforcement can still enforce the law. Commonwealth attorneys who haven't said that they wouldn't enforce this unconstitutional law can put people in jail. So it hasn't opened things up yet. Now, keep in mind, we have NRA's case was heard at the same time in Washington County. Now, our case is a bit more comprehensive. We sued multiple Commonwealth's attorneys. We sued the state police. We had multiple folks listed on that really well thought out case. So we had what our attorneys described as a very good hearing. It went very well. I think we have a strong constitutionalist, both at the federal and state level, in our judge. So we're waiting on the order. Typically, the judge doesn't issue one from the bench. So you could tell this judge in Lancaster County on the VCDL GOA case really wanted to send a message to Abigail Spanberger. They need to respect the Virginia Constitution, and we're hoping for the same in Washington County that will open up the marketplace for folks to, they should have the pallets ready. They should be ready to send those guns overnight to dealers, and we can open up a Freedom Month, not Freedom Week like we've heard in California. And ultimately, I am confident that one of us is going to win here.
Oh, there's no question about it. I'm gonna tell you right now, John. I've been studying this, watching this, developing for months and months. We knew this was coming. I feel really good about Virginia. It could be because I'm in a really good mood this week with what happened with Wolford, and of course the previous case in Hamani. And guys, we'll get into all that with John. But John, I feel good about Virginia. I really do. I think Spanberger's feeling the heat. Her polls are in the toilet. The pressure being brought to bear. Now, I was on Cuccinelli's press conference Friday last week. And the direction that case is moving is very unique with the Virginia militia clause. I mean, you've got a basic four-prong approach at both the federal and the state level, outflanking this governor and the Democrats on all sides. They're not going to be able to break the lines, to use some Civil War vernacular there. They're in trouble, aren't they?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's a full court press against basically their tyranny that they're conducting out of Richmond, and we obviously know the ethical issues with Attorney General Jones, and that's what worries me. Look, on July 1, not only are there multiple bills going into effect, but also he is salivating over the possibility of launching a salvo against mom and pop gun shop owners, small businesses across the communities in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and going after them for so-called liability. What it really means is their goal is to put these dealers out of business and the firearms industry out of business, and make them defend themselves for the acts of criminals. Car dealers aren't responsible if someone uses their car in a DUI and causes harm, but they want to do that to the Second Amendment and gun dealers in the industry. So these cases are also important for that, because if multiple courts put injunctions on these new laws, we win on the merits, that really sends a message to Jay Jones to where his cases are going to go, and that's to certain defeat. So it's really important. It's a cumulative effort, and all of the gun groups are working together with the best interest at heart, and that's beating Abigail Spanberger and sending a message.
All right, and there's a bigger message here too, John. Let's pivot now to the two SCOTUS cases. And guys, I've given two very deep dives into this. I spent an hour with you yesterday deciphering in plain English as best I could what we saw in Alito's decision in the majority opinion yesterday in the Wolford case. Now, I won't go into too much detail about that, John, with you, but I want to look at the overarching reality of what's happening here. And I'd like to bounce a couple of my theories off of you and see what you think. And this is really why I'm feeling good. Let's start with Hamani and the fact that the Supreme Court strengthened Bruen. That my position was Bruen was strengthened now, not just by Hamani, but incredibly strengthened by the Wolford decision as well. And here you had a 9-0 decision in Hamani, John, and Ketanji Brown's concurrence open the first sentence respecting the Bruen precedent. Now, I think that's going to come back to bite her. Now, if she really respected Bruen precedent, she should have voted in favor or with the majority in Wolford as well. So she doesn't. And in both instances, she threw the butt out there about Bruen. Yet, we have two incredibly strong historic decisions. How much does this strengthen Bruen? And are people like Spanberger about ready to get the 1-2-3 throat punch when the Supreme Court takes an assault weapons ban case? That's a lot to throw at you, but let's just talk about it all.
Well, look, I mean, it really sends a message to these states across the country that responded to Bruen with what I call temper tantrum bills. Mm-hmm. They disregarded what the Supreme Court said. They doubled down on sensitive places, and we're dealing with cases going through the courts on those issues now. We've seen them go even further, like what they're doing in Virginia and others. But it just shows that 9 justices on the Supreme Court agree with Bruen, or they respect it. Okay, I don't even care if they like it; they have to respect it. That's the law of the land. This is the standard that these cases will be decided under, and we see that applied through Hamani and Wolford. But most importantly, what that leads to is, after these conferences, taking serious, more substantial issues that impact a wider range of law-abiding gun owners faced with hardware, firearms, magazines, young adults in our under 21 case, and so on. It really opens the door to getting things done and sending that message again. But we need the court to grant cert on a true hardware case.
Oh, no
to
question.
Really move things forward.
What that will do, again, I know you know this. You and I have talked about this on these microphones before here on Armed American Radio. Virginia should never have found itself in this position, and I'm angry about what happened at Snopes in the Fourth Circuit. Virginia, of course, being in the Fourth Circuit. So there's precedent there. That's why you've got, ladies and gentlemen, a federal fight and a state fight going on now. It's a state fight on two different fronts, multiple cases. When we come back with John, we've got him for one quick segment. It's going to fly by, so buckle in. John, I'm going to read you a quote from Ketanji Brown. Again, I want to focus on her because she just makes it so easy to do in what she said in her dissent in Wolford, and I can't wait to get your opinion on this as it relates to the Bill of Rights, even though she says to respect Bruen. Guys, we'll be right back. One more segment with John Commerford, National Rifle Association Institute for Legislative Action Executive Director. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Let's go back to John Commerford, Executive Director of the National Rifle Association's Institute for Legislative Action. John, I got to read you this quote from Ketanji Brown. My mind is blown by this woman, and I'll say it on this microphone because I have before. This is the dumbest Supreme Court justice this country's ever had, and she is a historic embarrassment to this court. Now, here's what she said in her dissent, which was joined by Sotomayor, this particular dissent. Kagan wrote her own couple of paragraphs, as you know. She said, "For what it's worth, I think Bruen was wrongly decided. But if it's going to be our precedent, the majority should at least endeavor to apply it faithfully. I respectfully dissent because the majority has failed to do so here, and its analysis and conclusion only further bind the hands of modern legislatures attempting to balance and protect their residents' interests." John, what doesn't she understand about the Bill of Rights being a restraint on government here?
Yeah, I mean, That's because she supports all the bands that they want. Right? It's clear as day.
Wow.
But, you know, if you look at some of the other things she said, and you look at Pete Patterson in his filing to the Third Circuit on the hardware case, remember there's some combined cases there,
right.
He cites one of her dissents in here, reminding that at step one, courts must look only to the plain text of the Second Amendment. So, quite frankly, I don't necessarily know if she knows what she's writing or who writes it for her.
That's a good point.
You know, in her clerk staff, right? So you're assuming she wrote it, but we don't know. And, you know, it is a secretive body, but she is the gift that keeps on giving in terms of giving fodder for the Second Amendment community to focus on. But in reality here, we are moving the ball forward.
Oh, man.
And all of the listeners, they need to be focused on that Third Circuit case. Keep in mind, they took that en banc on their own. Angie RPC combined with Cheeseman. So it's all the groups that work together now are actually combined together in that case. But any day that decision can come down.
Yes.
And any other case that was stayed waiting for Hamani and mainly Wolford, this opens the gates for that. So the activity is coming, and it's going to be an exciting. It's been an exciting month now, but it's going to be a really exciting next 6 months for the Second Amendment, because I think we can really chip away at restoring the rights that have been taken from us.
Oh, there's no question. Now, the Third Circuit case, ladies and gentlemen, we've talked about it here on the program. Just to remind you, we're waiting for that en banc decision from the Third Circuit, and I believe personally, John, I think you agree with me based on what I just heard you say, that the court itself is likely waiting for the Third Circuit response on this as well. And that should be the slam dunk, because as you know, Trump has been able to flip that Third Circuit with his appointment. So,
well, and
go ahead.
And I know right now, look, President Trump might not be best friends or have John Thune on the Christmas card list,
Yeah.
But Leader Thune, just for the listeners, so they understand what we work on. You know, he was pushed to get his block of nominees through. And he did. Mm-hmm. And he got through another judge on the Third Circuit that Trump got a confirmation to get us to a conservative bias on the court. And then we gained another one the day before that en banc panel. So that's the work that's getting done in the Senate. And that's why we have to protect that Senate firewall, because this is how we reshape the American judiciary in the interest of constitutional freedom.
Oh, boy, you better believe it. Well said. And, guys, that's where we're talking about the midterms here. You've heard us discuss it many times, and that's ramping up now as we get closer and closer, believe it or not, to November, because time is flying right by. It's going to be here in the blink of an eye, ladies and gentlemen. I feel confident in keeping the Senate, maybe even adding a few seats, but I don't want anybody to get complacent with this, John. We've got to stay active. And, guys, one of the best things and fastest and easiest things you can do is just join the NRA. Give us a year at $35, ladies and gentlemen, and join us. Let's talk 18 to 20-year-olds briefly, because Florida's Fourth Circuit down there, the Florida court, just wiped out the 18 to 20-year-old ban. We're just seeing one thing after another. John, if you're an anti-gunner right now, what's going through your mind, victory after victory, knowing that the court is going to take one of these hardware cases, and we know what's going to happen there? I mean, this is a slam dunk to them. And then I'll tell you what I think they'll do afterwards. But what do you think's going through their minds?
Well, I think it's more, the investment that's been made by Michael Bloomberg, and I know he's not afraid to burn money. We saw how much he spent to get, I think, one electoral vote in his presidential bid. But look at the money they've invested in trying to trample our constitutional freedoms. And look at the money that we've had to invest to protect it and restore them. But their investment is failing. They are buying these lawmakers in commonwealths like Virginia and others across the country, trying to reshape them in their interests, which are anti-freedom. They hate the Constitution. They just don't like our way of life.
Right.
So the courts restoring these rights back to where they should be, they should have been all along, it has to have them incensed. Look, we see the radical left. They have Trump derangement syndrome. They're not even celebrating America's 250th birthday.
Great point.
This is how sick these folks are. So the patriotism is gone. Their love of the country is gone, if they ever had it. And they just don't like the conservative way of life, the way everyday law-abiding Americans choose to live their life and protect themselves and their families. And they'll continue with that. But I have to say they're probably not going to be enjoying one of those Sunday Bloody Marys because they're probably a little upset with what's happening.
Good. I'll have one on behalf, okay? I might even have two. I mean, good heavens. Doesn't it feel great to be on offense? Here's the thing that fascinates me as I look down the road here, and I'm strategically thinking 4 or 5 years out, because we know we're going to win a hardware case. We know we will do that. I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, when the court takes that case, we're going to win it. They're being careful with it for a reason. We want it now, but we know we're going to get one. We know we're going to win it. That will shut down the Glock bans that we're seeing in these states. So as we know, the fight is in the states now. As you said, they're spending a lot of money on individual states for the very reasons you just laid out that I won't repeat. But what more are they going to be able to do? Every workaround that they've tried in Bruin so far, or at least the majority of them, have now been shut down by SCOTUS. What's next? Because as you know, Alan Gottlieb once famously said on this show, Mark, their creativity knows no bounds. They're going to continue to throw something at us. Any idea what it might be to try to work around these decisions? And doesn't it just get more obvious that's what they're trying to do?
Yeah, well, keep in mind, they'll make technical changes. They'll try to push the court's decisions as far as they can. And this is why it's so important for folks to make sure they're registered to vote, turn out to vote, elect pro-gun lawmakers, especially in the U.S. Senate, to make sure we protect that confirmation process through the next 2 years. Because if you lose that, if you lose the White House, you lose Congress, then the courts start flipping back the other way, and they can erase these decisions. So we have to, just because we're winning now doesn't mean that's guaranteed for the future generations. You have to stay as engaged as ever in the process and beat back these lawmakers, whether it's at the ballot box or at the courthouse.
Well said, and perfect timing. John, we love you, man. Guys, we're going to rerun this interview for the Sunday Monster Cast for the other couple hundred stations that are going to be getting it. So you'll hear John again on Sunday. John Commerford, thank you so much, my friend. Congratulations, big victory. Next, Paul Markle coming up. Wow. What an exciting week. And, it was fun having John on the program, Greg. Honestly. I had, when we arranged him to come on the program, he was excited to come on, and I wanted to bring him on the Sunday show, but his schedule wouldn't permit. So, guys, as I said before, we're going to bring that interview to the Monster Cast coming up on Sunday. We're going to replay that for you. And if Paul calls in, which we're expecting him to do at any moment, if he does, great. If not, we'll just keep going with you. And if that happens, I want to go back into the SCOTUS decision, the Wolford decision, and read a little bit more of this dissent and a couple others. I want to focus really on Amy Coney Barrett because that's coming up. Now, people are wondering a lot about what happened. If you read the case, ladies, let me just go there now because I'm on the topic. But if you read the case, if you read the opinions and the concurring opinions, Amy Coney Barrett did something, I think, again, I could be off on this, Greg in Dallas, Texas, I'm not sure. But the way I read her concurrence, which she essentially spent every single paragraph just simply repeating what Alito said. And as a result of doing that, I'm questioning why did she do that and spend so much time on it? What she did, ladies and gentlemen, in my estimation, is she reaffirmed for us her strength on Second Amendment issues. It was a signal. Greg?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It sounds like she reiterated what had already been said to punctualize, saying, guys, this is what it is. This is the ruling. This is where we're at. Yep.
And this shows, I concur with everything in this ruling, which says to me that Amy Coney Barrett is signal. Now, why is that important? Because one of the big questions, and I know we have Paul Markle on the line. Let's bring Paul Markle in here as well. He can jump in. Paul Markle, student of the gun, SOTGU.com. How you doing, my brother?
Oh, just fantastic.
Let me finish my thought here on Amy Coney Barrett, and I'll get your opinion on this case and a little bit about what we heard from Ketanji Brown, et cetera. But, Paul, it's my guess that Coney Barrett is signaling her support for the Second Amendment using this ruling and her concurrence to do so. And why I think that matters, guys, is because there's speculation that the reason the court, Paul, has not yet taken an assault weapons ban case is because they won't take it until they know they have enough justices that they're secure in taking it to secure a victory. I've never felt threatened by Amy Coney Barrett when it comes to Second Amendment issues based on the previous rulings that we've seen. And I think this was just a signal from her that, hey, guys, I'm strong on the Second Amendment. It's not me. which leaves Roberts, which doesn't make any sense to me because Roberts has ruled in our favor on 5 cases now. So I don't see a threat from him. How do you read this, Paul?
Well, Roberts can't be trusted, though. Let's face facts.
Mm-hmm.
He's come down with some squirrely crap over the last several years. And we've been left scratching our heads, like saying, what is this dude talking about? Remember let's go back just a few years when the deep state of Washington, D.C. Hijacked the election, and we tried to get the Supreme Court to rule on it, and Roberts ran like he was afraid of his shadow.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I mean, he did, like, that is their job is to take on hard stuff like that. And when something really hard came up, he didn't want anything to do with it.
Well, and he was partisan about that because we know Roberts doesn't like Trump. So,
yeah, there's angst there. It's obvious. I think they get along to get along. Okay, let me leave it at that. But I don't think they're having dinner at each other's houses, and I don't think they're talking outside of much. But Paul, if we focus just on the gun issue, it's very hard for me to reach the conclusion that Roberts would be a no vote in any type of hardware ban case, in this case, an assault weapons ban case. I would think that would be very hard. It would be a stretch to suggest that going all the way back to his ruling in Heller. I mean, he has ruled in our favor in the majority in 5, we're 5-0 as a result of him as well. Why wouldn't he have been squishy then? I don't understand.
What are they afraid of now? You know, it's funny. He was afraid.
I don't know.
He said he was afraid, to take up the election case because it was going to, like, tear apart the fabric of the nation or whatever. Go ahead and rule that the government has the arbitrary power to decide what brand and flavor of gun you can have and see what happens to the fabric of the nation.
Yeah, then it becomes a real problem. And I think they're all well aware of that. And let's not forget, and I don't know how many justices live there, but I'm sure some of the justices, could be Roberts as well, actually live in Virginia on the other side of the Potomac, where a lot of people who work in Washington do live. So they're feeling the human impact of the tyrant Spanberger in the state of Virginia personally as well. So this is interesting. There's a lot going on here behind the scenes. And, Paul, sadly, as John Commerford pointed out in the previous segment, it's a secretive body, and these are things that we'll never know. That specifically came up when he was referring to Ketanji Brown's dissent and whether or not she even writes it. And he was insinuating, like I believe, because I believe her staff writes it, and you can tell. And it's written, all of her opinions seem to be written like a child. So it's just more proof positive that she's not the brightest bulb in the knife drawer, let me put it that way, okay? And nor is her staff, for obvious reasons, because she's not. So that likely follows suit. But
she's a bad joke. Oh, she's a terrible joke played on this nation.
Oh, she is. She's a historic stain on the Supreme Court's history.
She's a symptom of the disease.
Yeah.
That is liberalism.
Yeah, she's a historic stain on this court. And none of her opinions will age well.
She's also proof that the people in the Senate have no spine either. That we have a bunch of spineless yes men in the Senate, people that didn't have enough cojones to stand up and say, I don't care what color her skin is, this person is a moron, and they should not be on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, she's an obvious DEI hire. We know that from who put her in there. But, when I go through her opinion here, what's frightening is 2 things jump out at me, both in the Hamani decision a couple weeks ago and this decision here. She acknowledged Bruin's precedent. And again, she starts her dissent in this opinion. For what it's worth, I think Bruin was wrongly decided. But if it is going to be our precedent, the majority should at least endeavor to apply it faithfully, which they absolutely did here. And Alito did a phenomenal job in picking apart the 2 main arguments that Hawaii threw at them. And that was, well, there is analogous laws. They literally pointed to the Black Code laws in Louisiana post-Civil War during Reconstruction as evidence of that. You know, and Alito was brilliant in his response to that because he threw in his opinion, and I'm pretty sure it's why he did it. He reiterated that it was Republicans who were the ones that signed the Emancipation Proclamation. He reiterated that it was the Democrats that were responsible for slavery. And if you read his ruling, that's clearly what he was alluding to. He was saying those words without saying, tell me that without telling me that. You don't really have to read between the lines. It's pretty evident. And the other one, of course, they go after that ridiculous spirit of aloha nonsense that he picked apart. So I'll take us to the break with this, Paul, and when we come back.
Make up nonsense garbage.
Oh, incredible. The spirit of aloha. Well, when we come back, we'll go to Paul. And I'll give you those two things that jump out because there is a disconnect there. And it shows a roadmap, ladies and gentlemen. As I did a deep dive yesterday into the majority opinion by Alito, there is a roadmap going forward that's being laid out. And the more you read these opinions, the more you see in hindsight. Because as you know, hindsight is high definition 4K vision in that rear view mirror. We'll be right back. We've got one more segment to go with Paul Markham, and we're going to kick off a celebratory Friday, at least here at the ranch, with a Bloody Mary and some grilled burgers with the family. Just because. See, it's easy to celebrate and it's cheap to do. We'll be right back. Guys, we're back. It's the final segment already to kick off your Friday. I'm kind of looking forward to Friday today, Greg. I'm glad it's your favorite day today, to be honest with you.
Yeah, same here.
So,
boy, it's been a week.
It's been quite a 2 weeks. It really, truly has been very, very busy. Midnight has been seen here in the studio many a night over the last 2 weeks for certain. Marco, welcome back. I want to go back to that disconnect I'm talking about with Ketanji Brown. It fascinates me. It really does. Excuse me, because here's how stupid she is. And I've read this quote over the last couple days. I'll do it again. I respectfully dissent because the majority has failed to do so here, and its analysis and conclusion only further bind the hands of modern legislatures attempting to balance and protect their residents' interests. Yeah, clearly, she does not understand that the Bill of Rights is in place to literally bind the hands of modern legislatures from infringing on our rights. She clearly does not understand that. That signals that she's willing to wipe everything out in a future case if it ever comes up, and she has given the opportunity to do so if the court ever flips, number one. And number two, just her pure stupidity. And she would have, and she argues, she spends paragraph after paragraph arguing that interest balancing, Paul, where exactly what she says there, attempting to balance, she would give up essential liberty. And we all know what happens then.
For the empty promise of safety.
Correct.
Yeah.
She allows the interest balancing to occur. That's what she wants to do. Well, if it's for safety, then we can restrict the Second Amendment.
Dude, look how safe the rest of the world is. I mean,
right?
Look how safe it is to live in England or Europe or Australia. I mean, it's super safe. You're safe from everybody but the government. That is the miracle that we currently are living in. That I know things aren't the way we would like them to be, but boy, they sure could be worse. And Democrats have never been shy about admitting that their belief that the Constitution is an impediment. Yeah, it gets in their way. And I can't remember. There was one of the famous idiots. It might have been Pelosi or somebody that said that. They regretted that the Constitution got in the way of them doing what they wanted to do.
Oh, yeah, look, they've divorced us. Greg, what did you say?
That was Feinstein.
Feinstein, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen,
yeah.
They've divorced us. Neil McCabe has made that very clear. I see a lot of people jumping in the video right now. And, guys, I want to point out to you, if you missed John Commerford and you're just joining the video stream in the show right now, John will be back. We're going to rerun that interview for you. It was a great interview. We're going to rerun that for you on Sunday's Monstercast in hour 1, okay? So you can pick it up on podcast in just a few minutes after the show. You can watch us on YouTube if you don't want to wait, or you can tune in live and hear it and watch it on Sunday as well. Anyway, Paul, this interest balancing thing I think to me is fascinating. We know what the Dems will do if given the opportunity. They're saying it here without saying it. And Ketanji Brown is on that court for a reason, particularly at her age. They want to pack that court. No, I don't think they're going to be able to do it. I don't think the American people will stand for it. I think there would be, I would go as far as saying there could be violence in this country in a huge way if they were to try to literally take over the country that way. But they make no bones about wanting to do it. And that's a reason she's on this court, Paul. And we should all pay attention to that, shouldn't we? We can't sweep that under the rug and go, it'll never happen. It can happen if the right things happen, ladies and gentlemen. Or wrong, however you want to look at that.
Well, you're absolutely right, and I don't know how much time we have left, but
you got 2 minutes. Go for it.
Something that we need to be cognizant of is the Democrat Party, or the leftists, or socialists, whatever you want to call them. They've always been very successful in dividing us and then taking over, after we're divided. Mm-hmm. If you go back to the era of Clinton never took a majority. Clinton never won a majority election. People forget that. We've all forgotten. But it was the division between the Perrots and the Bushes and so forth. That is how we will lose. We will lose if we get people to, well, I'm a Republican, or I'm a conservative, or I'm a constitutionalist, but I'm not a maggot, or I don't like Trump, or I don't like this. Like, okay, great. That's awesome that you don't like Trump. Congratulations. You get the hat. But the fact of the matter is, that is how they always win. That's how they win. They divide us. They get us arguing over crap. And then they sweep in and they take power.
Paul, there's a very famous saying relative to what you're talking about, and it's called divide and conquer. And tyrants have been doing it for centuries. Human history bears this out, ladies and gentlemen. Not Mark Walters, not Paul Markle. Human history bears this out. And that is what they're attempting to do here. And the fact that they hate us and have already divorced us is a very dangerous situation, because they do not care about the respect of law. They do not care about the judiciary rulings. They do not care about Supreme Court rulings. They do not care. They will take over if given the opportunity, and they will do it by force if necessary, and we will never, ever, ever let that happen. Paul, we're getting ready to take our final break. This is it for the day. Take the last 20 seconds. Tell people where they can find you, all that good stuff.
Oh, well, Student of the Gun is hard to find. You have to go to your local search engine. But SOTGU is where you can go to get yourself some learning. Use the promo code AAR and save 15% on your tuition.
There you go.
Do it today.
Paul Markle, Student of the Gun. Thank you, brother, for being here today. I appreciate it. And we'll get you back for the full hour on Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Markle, he's a fan favorite for a reason, as most of our guests are. We've got a big Sunday Monster Cast brewing for you. We'll have even more information on these cases with a great guest lineup. As I said, we're going to replay John Commerford's interview. I really want him to get the widest audience. He was fantastic. So you'll hear that, and might even replay this part with Paul as well for that hour. We'll see. Either way, make sure to be here on the Monster Cast coming up on Sunday, 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock Eastern, and that will be 5 to 8 p.m. Pacific time across the country. And those of you who tuned in a little bit late and missed John, we will be rerunning that again on Sunday. Guys, I love each and every one of you. Huge victories. Celebrate this weekend. The other side is 0-5. You're 5-0.
10.
Join the NRA and all the other organizations. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. Congratulations on the wins. I'll see you on the radio on Sunday. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in today. Appreciate it very much. As I mentioned, those of you who jumped in the feed late, don't worry. We've got 3 more hours, solid hours. We're going to be breaking all of this down for you with a great guest lineup coming up on Sunday. That lineup is still building as we speak. A lot of people want to get on the show this weekend to talk about this, so I have no idea how it's going to break down. But I promise you it's a good one. And it's great to win. Are you tired of winning yet? There's your W. Are you tired of winning yet? I'm not. And when we get an assault weapons ban case before this court, we're going to win that as well. Guarantee you that one goes down 6-3. There's not a liberal justice on there that's going to rule in favor of that, even though they said they all respect Bruin and the rest of the court precedent. They don't. That's why they follow it with a but every single time. Don't read me, or don't believe me. Read the dissents and read the concurrences in the Hamani decision as well, even though it was 9-0. They still put the but in there, just as Ketanji Brown did twice. Guys, enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. Have a beverage. Grill hard. I love each and every one of you. Thanks for being here. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. We love you guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Sunday.